Hello, everybody. How's it going? I am your host, Neo Starling, and I kind of just wanted to give you a little recap, or rather, just my thoughts on the Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight that just happened. And holy doodle squat. Let me tell you something. This was pretty much essentially the Super Smash Brothers of the boxing world, where you had MMA colliding with boxing in arguably what could be a once in a lifetime thing. We don't know if we'll ever see something like this again. So if this is the only time we're gonna see it, I'm glad we got to see it. I thought it was really good actually. Now to get down to the main event, because I don't really think anyone cares about what happened early on. I mean, you had some dude that came out dressed like someone from the Sesame Street, but that was about it. Um, the main event, which was Conor McGregor versus Floyd Money Mayweather, this wasn't it was a very polarizing fight. It was strange because on one hand, I was going for McGregor. I'm gonna tell you right now, I was going for McGregor even though Mayweather won the fight. I believe that Conor gave a really good fight, and he probably gave him the best match of his career, just in my opinion, because the majority of the time that I've seen a Mayweather fight, he's very much on the defensive, and he does a lot of hugs. He's a points based technical fighter, not really someone that gets out there and gets too crazy. But he had to get aggressive with McGregor because McGregor was pushing him early on. I would say the first 4 rounds were pretty sure that those were McGregor rounds. Like there's no doubt about it. Even though he was hitting him with like lightning quick hits, however, those hits didn't have enough mustard behind them. They just weren't very strong. It's kind of like they were testing each other out at the moment to see what would actually happen. Once they got accustomed to each other's styles and whatnot. But there is something that Floyd figured out, and I believe he totally exploited during their fight. Now, Conor McGregor, you got to keep in mind, he's an MMA fighter. He does a lot of like hammer shots. He does like side hits, kicks, and whatnot. Even though he didn't throw any kicks in this fight, which I'm glad he didn't. Even though he looks like he wanted to like suplex him a couple of times. He did a lot of hammer shots in the back of his head. Now, those are illegal in boxing. He can't really do that. And the first few times it was more out of reflex than anything, but then it got to a point where I feel that Mayweather exploited a weakness, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this guy the back of my head. I'm gonna do a lot of ducks. I'm gonna turn around a lot because that way he's gonna keep doing those hits. And at the very least, if there wouldn't have been like a knockout punch and it all came down to points, then it simply would have boiled down to how many points were getting deducted from McGregor based off of the illegal shots that he was giving Mayweather. Um, like I said again, Mayweather started off really. I mean, not Mayweather. I'm sorry, McGregor started off very strong, but then Mayweather started to get the advantage. Also, you have to keep in mind that Mayweather is used to being in longer fights than McGregor is. McGregor in a typical UFC fight, he won't fight for very long, and the fights can end seemingly out of nowhere, just like in boxing. But the point is that at the end of the day, every time McGregor was getting a break, like after every round would finish, he was getting like iced up. They were pretty much making sure that he got iced up, and I think that it was just a detriment later on because he was getting more exhausted as the fight went on, and that became apparent. I want to say around the sixth or seventh round, I really noticed how tired he got, and it didn't end well for him as time went on. Even though Mayweather is close to like 20 plus years older than McGregor, he still had the advantage, and that's just a testament to how good of a boxer he really is. I personally am not much of a Mayweather fan, but I had to give him props for actually putting on the gloves and getting in there because he was the aggressor the majority of the fight. I want to say after the fourth round, he was the one that really went in there and started giving him those heavy hits, and early on, even though McGregor was getting more hits again, there wasn't enough power behind his hits. So because of that, I feel that Mayweather exploited that because even though he was hitting him less, his hits were a lot more impactful. He had just a lot more power behind those strikes. And granted, again, McGregor is not a boxer, so it's difficult for him to actually acclimate his body properly to that style. But I still give him credit for doing what he did because this is something that again we'll probably never even see again. And I actually ran home and I rushed home to record this after I was done watching the fight at my friend's house. He looked out, he made sure that we got to see the fight. We had a few beers, ate some chips. It was great. And McGregor ended up losing this fight. It was almost a knockout. The referee had to stop the fight in the 10th round because he was wobbly. You could see it. He was staggered. He was about to like keel over, and Mayweather was getting ready to like knock him out. And I'm glad the ref stopped the fight. No need for like a needless, like knockout. I mean, it is what it is. It happened. I'm just glad that the fight was entertaining, and I'm glad that McGregor, someone that's not a boxer, was able to push Mayweather to the limit. And, they even hugged at the end. They showed good sportsmanship, which is always good to see. I appreciate that, because in spite of how much crap they were talking between each other, you could always tell. You always really learn who someone is when you fight them, and in this case, them fighting each other, they got to learn about each other's character. And I'm glad that that happened. So in spite of him losing the match, like I said, man, good job, McGregor. You gave a great effort. Mayweather's the best for a reason. That's all I could really say. In spite of me not like really being a fan, he is the best for a reason. And I know that the next day, one of my friends in particular who was really going for Mayweather, I'm going to hear it from him. And probably from a few other people, because I was definitely going for McGregor, only because I wanted to see somebody shut Mayweather up. But I digress. Regardless of the fact, good job to both of you guys. If you guys like this video, or if you feel like you want to add any additional commentary, the comment section below can always function as a sort of extension thread. So please feel free to leave a comment, a like. If you liked this video, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. I will try to provide videos like this whenever I get the opportunity. So with that said and done, guys, I have been your host, Neo Starling. You guys are awesome, and don't ever, ever let anyone tell you different. Signing off.